What's up guys, DuArktik with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we're back to talk about Dark Dimension 6. We're gonna give you some new recommendations for Dark Dimension 6, probably a new approach to the selection of characters that you have available, and making sure that you get the best value for your run. You really want to make sure that you spend the least amount of resources, but at the same time you want to make sure that the resources that you are spending are on characters that will give you benefits on other game modes. Right now I'm exactly on the last node of Dark Dimension 6, and the run has been pretty smooth. I can show you some attacks. We did 4 attacks on the second legendary node where you can use Apocalypse. On the other ones we did 2 shot and 1 shot, and City, Global, Cosmic, in my opinion they were overall very easy. And this is what I'm saying, like, you want to make sure that you are not crippling your progress in Dark Dimension 6, but at the same time you don't want to invest, you don't want to invest on trash characters or characters that are part of some game or that doesn't have a lot of value. And you also want to make sure that you have characters that you need in specific events. So we're going to talk about all of that. I'm going to try to break down my mindset with you so you guys can understand some of these recommendations. And this comes from a player with 46 million TCP, 47 almost. My alliance dominates pretty much the raids and alliance wars. We are both top 50 on both of those game modes. And Cosmic Crucible, right now I'm on rank 127, so almost top 100. And this is with a sort of small account. Early on I was top 100 on Dark Dimension 6, but you just can't keep up with the amounts of money that people are spending in this game. And Dark Dimension 6 is definitely a place where money comes into play. But not only that, being top on your alliance in terms of raids, like top 10 or something, gives you huge benefits when it comes down to this game mode. In terms of gear, the best place to farm gear is usually on the gold store, but it depends. You might not have enough gold to get gear from here, but in my opinion this is the best way to get gear. The raid orbs and certain events, they are just too far-fetched, too randomized for you to consistently progress your account. So make sure you save at least 500 gold per day in order to get some of these items. Okay, so now that you know exactly from where I'm coming from, wrong menu, now that you know what type of player you are dealing with, and in the other Dark Dimensions I was always one of the fastest players to clear it and so on. So what is the new mindset that I'm going to present to you? So like I was saying, you want to make sure that you are investing on characters that you need in PvP situations. That's going to be probably the most important if you care about Cosmic Crucible and Alliance Wars, because those 2 game modes give you a lot of rewards, and those are game modes that you are not facing the NPCs, right? You are not facing NPCs, you are not facing something established by Scopely, you are facing something established by other players, and usually players are pretty competitive. So that's going to be a good standard for you to rely on when you are investing on these characters to the max, right? Because GT 18 right now is the max. Other situations that we have is Arena. Once again, Arena extremely important. And right now I think it's very important as well to pay attention to events like the Scourges or like the Trials, whether it is for the Horseman characters, whether it is for the Aphelions or whatever for Mephisto. And we are talking about the Nova event, the Black Cat event, and supposedly the Green Goblin event, and also the Sentry event. So it's going to be extremely important because we have these milestones that every time the event comes around, you get a huge amount of teal gear, you get a huge amount of catalysts, you're going to get even gear tier 18 that you need for certain characters. So making sure that your characters are big enough is important, and that's going to once again influence the characters that you're using in other game modes and also in Dark Dimension 6. So that's going to be the main purpose. We are going to move away from raids and these PvE content that usually after 9 months or so die off right away, and focus on events where you are competing with other people or that you have actually difficult goals to achieve, which is the case for these events. Okay, so with that said, let's take a look at the different tier lists that we are going to take a look for each section. This will be available tomorrow or so on my Discord. The link will be in the description if you want to join my Discord, or you can just type on Google DuArktik Discord and you'll find out pretty easy. So here we go, let's take a look at the first tier list. Okay, so it goes from S to Yikes, and Yikes is characters that you really don't want to focus on, and S tier is characters that you want to bring at least 1 or 2 of them, just to make sure that you have a good core of your team. This is going to be the most important factor, is that you have 2 or 3 characters that are like the must-have, and then you can bring other characters along that are not part of the S tier and so on. Okay, so we can start from below. These characters you are going to skip because they are mostly raid characters, so the value is lower, or because they are too expensive, or because they are part of a meta that is no longer relevant. Absorbing Man is here because if you overgear Absorbing Man, you're going to have a lot of problems on the Nova trials, so I definitely don't recommend gearing up this guy. In the F tier, we have some characters that are part of some events, but we don't know yet to which is the extent of how much we need these characters. So for now they'll be at F tier until we have more information, and we should only have more information in the next 2 or 3 months. So this is something you should definitely hold back on. And then once again we have important raid characters for the team. So between these guys and these guys, these ones are going to be more important because they are the ones that revive or that protect everyone else. Okay, so on the E we also have some more raid characters and Alliance War characters that are not as important part of the meta right now. We have Zombie Juggernaut. This is an interesting character because you can use him in Dark Dimension. He's going to give you a lot of value in Alliance Wars. But the biggest problem is that we don't know for sure what kind of system of yellow stars and red stars you will have, so it's something that you have to be careful with. Okay, so on C and D tier we have some raid characters that are important to have geared up because the team is falling off right now. In my opinion, we are going to have a new bio team being introduced very soon, and it will be a legendary bio team for raids. So I would be careful with gearing up these 2 characters. Everyone else, the Dead Seed, are still a powerful team in multiple game modes, and you can also use them on different events where you need villains and mutants and so on. So overall I think these characters over here, they are still good options depending on where you are using them, of course. For example, Abomination, you can use him on the Black Hat trials on the brawler nodes, and he becomes very relevant because of that. The same goes for Lady Deathstrike, another brawler that you can use for recent events, and they are cheap, so it's something that you should consider. Black Widow, Sharon Carter, Captain America, Sam, and Doctor Doom. These are all important characters that you can use for Dark Dimension. They will make your run very easy, and they also have some value in Alliance Wars and in Cosmic Crucible. And whenever you are facing difficult skill challenges or trials or anything like that, these 3 characters always come through, so that's why they're here. And then we have Moonstone. Now some people will be confused why Moonstone is so high. She's okay, she has a stun, she does a few interesting things, but the reason is because if you're trying to get the milestones for the Nova trials, you need to have a very small Absorbing Man and you need to have a very big Moonstone. And this is why she is one of the recommendations for Dark Dimension 6, not exactly because she's going to give you a lot of value in Dark Dimension 6, but more because she's going to provide a lot of value in Cosmic Crucible, in Alliance Wars, and in these other events where you need villains and so on. So you need her for the Nova trials, and you also need her for some other trials. It's Nova trials you need her on 5 different nodes. It's kind of crazy, like she's super important. So the bigger you have her, the better, especially if it's bigger than Absorbing Man. And then we have Apocalypse, Spider Weaver, and Quicksilver. Some people don't know, and I didn't know this as well, Quicksilver and Apocalypse, because they are characters that cannot be revived, they always spawn with their cooldowns refreshed. So this is why some people say that Quicksilver is amazing. It's actually not amazing, but because he always spawns with the cooldowns whenever he dies, he might give you some additional value. The same goes for Apocalypse, which is a must-have character. You can do Dark Dimension without Apocalypse, but it's strongly recommended that you use Apocalypse or Baby Apocalypse. And then we have Spider Weaver. In my opinion, Spider Weaver is still one of the best characters in the game. It's still a priority for Dark Dimension, but if you want to save your Mystic Gear, it's up to you. It won't really matter anyway, but the value that she brings in Alliance Wars and in Cosmic Crucible, I think is significant enough to prioritize her over other characters. So if you're really thinking about which characters you want to bring, I would say like Apocalypse, then Spider Weaver, then Moonstone. Then you can bring Doctor Doom if you want or not, Lady Deathstrike and Captain Sam. Lady Deathstrike, once again, she's very useful on the brawler nodes together with Abomination for the Black Cat trials. Okay, that's the global options. Now we're gonna take a look at the next section, Cosmic. Okay, so Cosmic, once again, we have the core of the team. The core of the team is going to be Kang, Kestrel, Val, and Photon. These characters are extremely powerful on multiple game modes: Alliance Wars, Cosmic Crucible, Arena. You can even use some of these characters in raids like Kestrel and Val. Kang, you can also use it in raids if you don't have other options. And because of that, in my opinion, these are pretty much must-build characters. These characters are going to make your run extremely easy, and that's why they are the core of the characters. At least the top three, they are must-have for sure. Photon, I also agree that she's must-have, but there you go. Okay, so why is Star-Lord Annihilation here? When I said that I regret building up so much because it was not a good experience, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's all important, but once again we have these trials that we have going on right now, or for Mephisto or not. Once again, we don't have confirmation, but Star-Lord was very important. There are 3 nodes on the Black Cat trials where you need to have your Star-Lord big enough, so it's going to be quite relevant to have him as big as possible, and that's why he's one of the top recommendations, because you're going to get value for him for at least 1.5 years, because that's how long these events will cycle around. Okay, moving on to the next characters on B tier and below. Phyla-Vell, she's part of Infinity Watch. Infinity Watch is still quite good in Cosmic Crucible. A lot of people still struggle. Doctor Strange is also part of one of the strongest teams in Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars, Arena, depending on where you are in the meta. He's cheap, and he is also very good in War. And he also revives characters. So if you have a combination of Val and Doctor Strange, they keep reviving each other, and that makes it very easy for you. Now, this might not be super a good way of selling the character. It's okay. It's not the best option. It's just a solid option. Okay, so in terms of the other characters, we have a lot of mystic characters that you can bring along, but all these characters are very expensive. Dormammu, I don't know for sure, but because he cannot be revived, I also assume that he will always spawn with the special and the ultimate. If there is any whale out there watching this video, let me know in the comments if you get up your Dormammu, and if it's actually the case that he always has the special and the ultimate. And then we have a lot of nowhere characters. We have Thor, Infinity War, we have Cosmo, and this is once again because of the event that we have for Black Cat and so on, where you need these characters. But once again, the most important character, in my opinion, is going to be Star-Lord over the Thor and the Cosmo, because his skill and these guys are bio and Mystic, which you need a lot of bio and Mystic for other sections. Okay, so beyond that, we have a few Infinity Watch options. We have Eternals, we have New Warriors, we have Hela. These are all characters that you can use in other game modes and that have a lot of value. Once again, you are talking with someone that is top 200 right now in Cosmic Crucible with a 40 million account, facing people with 60, 70 and 80 million TCP, which is pretty much double. Then we have a few cheap options like Valkyrie. I heard she was pretty decent, and she will pull her weight in Alliance Wars if you care about that. Sylvie is okay recommendation. It's nice right now for Cosmic Crucible, but so many envoys are complaining. Envoys and content creators, so many of them are complaining about the raid room that they'll probably not repeat it. Even that, in my opinion, it was a good room overall. And then we have characters that we don't know their future. Right now, they are not great. In the future, there are rumors of all of these characters getting rework. Black Order, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Multiverse, and the Star-Lord also Multiverse. So we could have a Multiverse team, we could have all of that, but we have no confirmation. So this is something that you should skip as long as possible until we have more information. But once again, focus on S tier, A tier, and B tier, and you'll be good to go. Okay, let's go for City. City is one of the easiest sections of Dark Dimension. It was super easy. I did like 2-shot, 3-shot most of the nodes. It was really easy, and the reason why is because the enemies, they have no health. So if you bring big damage characters, you are going to destroy the nodes. Now we're gonna split these on the characters that are relevant to the meta right now, that will unlock and be used on different events, and then we have the expensive ones and the ones that have less value. Okay, so Ardlight, Ghost Rider are must-have right now for Arena. They also are very strong in Alliance Wars, very strong in Cosmic Crucible, so these are for sure must-have characters. And then you also have Cloak. I have to talk about Cloak and Robbie Reyes, because Cloak makes the node super easy because you are applying slow, blind, disrupt, defense down, all these things to the enemies, and that's super easy. Do you need dagger? No, you don't need dagger. Focus just on Cloak. And both of them use miasma, so you have to choose one or the other. I chose Cloak and it was super easy. With Ghost Rider, I heard it's not as easy. You just get a little bit more value in other game modes. Even that Cloak is okay for Crucible as well. And the Tower, which will be returning soon. But in terms of Alliance Wars, not as much. Okay, now we have the discussion between Ronin and Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is amazing. He is absolutely must-have. You can use Shang-Chi also for these new trials that we have for Black Cat and so on. Brawler nodes, Shang-Chi is amazing. And then we have Ronin. Ronin is supposedly must-have for a legendary. I don't know, it's okay. They fixed his kit. His kit got already 3 or 4 reworks in. He's better, but he's not amazing compared to Shang-Chi. But if you want to double up in value, I guess you can invest him over Shang-Chi. But Shang-Chi will have a better experience, and this guy will have a better investment. But overall, both of them are very good. Now, Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Man Big Time, and Spider-Man OG, they're all great in different game modes. Spider-Man OG is very strong for the Black Cat trials on the Brawler nodes. And these other two guys, they are great for Arena, Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars, so it's up to you. In my opinion, you should build both of them, because they are so strong, they are so cheap, and they are so important on their specific teams that I would definitely recommend both of them. One free tip I can give you right away is make a Spider-Man Big Time healer, and because he's so fast, he's going to heal up your team quite a lot. And like this, you don't have to rely 100% on Shang-Chi or Ardlight to keep your team alive. Then we have Firestar. She does an insane amount of damage, and like I said, because the enemies, they don't have a lot of health, she just shreds through the enemy waves, and she's a super valid option. Beyond that, we have okay options. All of these characters are okay. In my opinion, they are too expensive, or the cooldowns are too long and not relevant enough. I think it's a big mistake to invest on Kingpin and Mr. Negative. They are not relevant enough in terms of the overall meta of the game, at least for now. And because of that, I would say that yes, sure, they are cheap, but they are also pretty much useless, and you shouldn't be wasting your gear on useless characters. Swarm, same thing, and then She-Hulk and this girl. Gwenpool, she's okay, but I would not take her to Dark Dimension because she is just useless. She is a PvP character, she has very long cooldowns, and you don't want to bring to Dark Dimension characters with very long cooldowns. Okay, let's move on to the last section. It's the legendary section, and let's be honest, the only characters that matter are these ones at the top until the B tier. Beyond that, all the characters are pretty much irrelevant. So Black Cat and Nova, they are pretty much must have. Black Cat more important than Nova, but Nova because you need him for so many events, you should definitely use him. Omega Red is still top tier choice, best mutant character legendary in the game. So must have ability block, the slow turning wind, all of those things that he does, they are amazing. So insane survivability. I one-shotted some of the nodes because of him. And then we have some options that you might find controversial. Why is Ebony Maw here? Well, if you take a look at my YouTube channel, you can go here, DuArktik, then you go to playlists, you go to Dark Dimension, Black Cat Trials, Dark Dimension full runs. So you can find the gameplay of me using Ebony Maw, and you'll be surprised on how good he was. He was very, very good. I definitely recommend him. If you are using Shuri at the same time, Shuri and Ebony Maw together, Ebony Maw gives energy to Shuri because he gives defense up. Stop. Ebony Maw gives energy to Shuri because of defense up, and then Shuri gives energy to Ebony Maw. And he also applies slow for 2 turns. He also gives immunity and barrier if you can get rid of any healer controllers. Or if you get rid of hero controllers, not healer controllers. Hero controllers. And that's very, very useful. On top of that, there is something very special about Ebony Maw, which we didn't talk about yet, and it is the centerpiece uniques. There are certain piece uniques that are extremely hard to obtain, and Ebony Maw is the one that are the easiest to obtain. It's the arcane books or something, and you'll see that you'll have like hundreds of them, and you can definitely invest on Ebony Maw over other characters like Adam Warlock, which requires Miasma. And let's be honest, if you already used Miasma for Cloak or for Ghost Rider, it's very unlikely that you'll have it also for Adam Warlock, even that Adam Warlock is a decent option. Okay, so I would say Black Cat, Nova, Omega Red, Ebony Maw, and Shuri are the best characters you can bring. And this is the last section, so it doesn't really matter. Because if you invest on any of the other legendary characters, they are extremely expensive and they also have zero use. So a few people used Phoenix and the Invisible Woman. They are pretty much trash because they are very long cooldowns, they are very squishy, they are very off meta. And once again, surprisingly enough, Ebony Maw holds up because he applies offense down and defense up at the same time. So this means you are double damage reduction. They are giving double damage reduction to the enemies and also increasing your defense, right? Okay, so as you can see, we don't see any kind of options for Horseman characters, and that's pretty much because Horseman right now, they are trash. Red Hulk is trash, Rogue is trash, Adam, this guy, Archangel is trash as well. The only legendary you should consider, maybe, it's Morgan Le Fay, because she's so powerful. And she spreads negative effects, which is crucial on Dark Dimension, but you actually don't need her. If you take these 5 characters and you bring Apocalypse along, which you can on the last 2 nodes, where you can use Horseman characters, you're gonna do just fine. I did 4 attacks and it was fine, and I think that's pretty much it. There is nothing else to say. The Horseman characters, they are falling off the meta extremely fast, and the only one that holds up still is Morgan Le Fay. And on top of that, she's also the one that gives more health and more resistance to Apocalypse, which is kind of what you want. Okay, so beyond that, we don't have many options available. It doesn't really matter, Red Hulk, Rogue, and Archangel, just forget they exist. Invisible Woman, Nick Fury, Adam Warlock, Phoenix, they are okay to use, they are cheap, some of them, the others are more expensive, but they provide more utility. But they have the other problematic situations, centerpiece unique, difficulty of getting up, and the teams might not be as good as other options that we have available. So in my opinion, these are the best legendaries, and those are all my recommendations for Dark Dimension 6. Once again, we'll be unlocking Super Scroll very soon, probably before Friday. So if you guys want to check out my gameplay, once again, make sure to check out my YouTube channel. Go to playlists, check out the Dark Dimension section, and make sure you join my live streams where I do these attacks live, and you can see which character to attack and so on. And you'll see that Dark Dimension 6 specifically is not difficult at all if you are building the right characters, which once again, the right characters are going to be the ones that give you value in other game modes. So once again, if you want to check out these tier lists, I'm gonna make them available soon on my Discord. In my opinion, these are the best characters to use to gear up right now. That will give you value across multiple game modes, and you should be able to beat all the nodes with a few attacks, maybe 5 attacks on average, and you'll be done with these. And once again, this is not going to compromise your other game modes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, and if you found this video helpful, make sure to share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.